Hi there, I'm Bess Blanco and I'm the Food and Family Health Coach with The Intentional Lifestyle. And this month in February, we're talking a lot over here at The Intentional Lifestyle about breaking up with bad habits. We're talking about finding a way to really step away from and step out of these habits that have become either destructive or harmful in our lives and are doing nothing good for our health. And one of the things that I'm going to focus on for you today is I'm going to give you some reasons and then some tips to cut sodium in your life and to really look at your sodium intake and how that might be affecting you as far as your health and your blood pressure. There are so many topics along the lines of breaking up with bad habits. We can talk about addictions. We can talk about the types of foods that we choose. We can talk about the splurges and indulgences that we enjoy that aren't necessarily good for us. But today we're going to focus on sodium. And so what I want to do is I just kind of want to go and give you the guidelines of what a healthy amount of sodium is and kind of paint the picture for you, especially if you struggle in your life with high blood pressure. This is really going to be impactful and helpful to you, hopefully, if you don't already know this great information. Our bodies actually need a certain amount of sodium. We actually need to ingest around 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day. Now, to give you an idea of how much that really is, it's actually only a teaspoon. So it's 1 teaspoon, not even quite a teaspoon of salt that our body actually needs for healthy function every day. And you think, oh, I can sprinkle up to a teaspoon of salt on my food every day. No, we're talking about the sodium that's included in the foods that you are already ingesting. We're not talking about additional salt here. So let's kind of get into this a little bit and dig into where I'm going with this. 2,300 milligrams is the daily need for our bodies. The average consumption in America is actually 1.5 teaspoons, and this is kind of on the low side. They're saying it could be closer to 2 teaspoons a day now, and 1.5 teaspoons is actually 3,500 milligrams. So between 3,500 and 4,000 milligrams a day is what the typical adult American is taking into their body through their foods and through the things they're drinking. Isn't that amazing? Now, when you have high blood pressure, let's just paint this picture a little bit for anybody who might be concerned that they do or already know that they do. Normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. 120 systolic, which is that first higher number, and 80 would be your diastolic or the lower number. And that's really normal blood pressure, 120 over 80. So where we start to talk about, or where the medical community talks about pre-hypertension, which is blood pressure is increasing, the pre-level, that would be more like 139 over 89. 159 over 99 or above is actually getting into stage 1, which is stage 1 of actually having high blood pressure. And then 160 plus over 100 plus is just dangerous. It's stage 2, it's moderate to severe blood pressure, and it really is a place to be concerned. Now, this is the exciting news. This is something just like diabetes and some of those other conditions out there that can actually be reversed by your behaviors in what you're drinking and eating. So let's get into how to do that. To get your numbers back down to where they should be, which is definitely around 120 to 80. This is very simple to do. We really need to become a sodium sleuth and really start looking at the labels of what you're eating and start thinking about and really tracking what you're putting into your body every day. Now, there are some just really basic hidden places where we can find sodium that a lot of people don't realize sodium resides and is in a very comfortable place in those items. And some of those items are breads and cereals. You wouldn't think in your Cheerios that they could be high in sodium. You really need to watch those cereal labels as you're choosing a healthy cereal for yourself. Sauces, things like spaghetti sauces and other sauces that you use over your foods, like those canned cheese sauces, things like that are very high in sodium. This is why, another reason, because I'm really big on not having too much sugar, this is another reason that I always suggest making a quick and easy homemade spaghetti sauce. And there's a recipe for that at theintentionallifestyle.com. But really consider the sauces that you're purchasing. Spice mixes, anything that's been tampered with, let's say, something like oregano or dried thyme, there's nothing wrong with those. You just need to make sure that that's the only ingredient on that label. So when you're looking at spice mixes that are like pre-mixed for, I don't know if you've seen them, but they have like fajita seasoning and stuff like that, Southwest seasoning, you really got to watch those because those are hidden places for sodium. Marinades, dressings, here we are back in sauces, anything that has been pre-combined for you to use to flavor and enhance your food. Really watch that. Canned vegetables, believe it or not, are high in sodium. Canned beans can actually be high in sodium. I always tell my clients, canned beans are an incredible quick source to add to your foods, to add some fiber and be really healthy. All you have to do is you have to make sure to rinse them very, very well in a strainer like you would pasta. Rinse them out. And then you're back to almost as good a bean as what you would have had you boiled it yourself at home. So rinse off canned beans and just stay away from canned vegetables. Canned vegetables aren't good for you anyway, but they are high in sodium. Canned soups and pre-prepared pastas. Anytime that we're talking about food that has been processed and prepared for you and has had something added to it to preserve it for you, which anything boxed and canned, and I hate to say it, but those are usually very high in all kinds of negative things, and sodium is definitely one of them because they've had to do that to preserve it in that box, bag, or can to keep it shelf ready for you as the consumer. So really the biggest tip is stay away from pre-prepared foods. Go back to natural, whole, healthy foods that you can find in your vegetable aisle that you can rinse off at home, organic, things like that at your farmer's market. Get away from the boxed and the canned and the bagged. Get back to the way your grandma and your mom cooked and get back to the whole and healthier foods. That's tip number one. Tip number two would be stay away from takeout, fast food. Anything I've heard another highly esteemed nutritionist say that if you're getting something through a drive-through, it's not consumable. They just say it is. And that's so true. Fast food is loaded with sodium. Takeout, especially Chinese, that kind of thing. You got to watch it. You got to be very, very careful because it's not just MSG that's bad for you. But part of the reason MSG is bad for you is because of all the sodium. So stay away from those quick, speedy answers to dinner. They're loaded with sodium. Some frozen foods, and what I'm talking about here is not frozen vegetables. Those are great if you get them where the ingredient is only the vegetable. They're great. I'm talking about pre-prepared dinners. You've got to watch those. They are a hangout for sodium. Okay, so hopefully these tips have helped you. I know with me, I'm such a broken record. You're going to hear me referring back to the same old solutions, whether we're talking about eliminating sugar or unhealthy fats or other things in your life, and with sodium it's no different. Get back to the natural, get back to the whole, and exercise more and drink more water are two other very huge tips for reducing the sodium in your system, because even if you overdo, still at some level overdo over 2,300 milligrams a day, if you are exercising faithfully like 30 minutes a day or more and drinking enough water, 8 glasses or more, you're actually helping your body to cycle that back out. So all those things working together, you can bring your sodium levels down, you can break up with salt and say bye-bye to the unhealthy amounts of it in your life. And thank you for joining me for this. This has been Bess with The Intentional Lifestyle, and I am your food and family health coach here, and I love serving you in this area. If there's anything I can do for you, visit me at my site at theintentionallifestyle.com. Be blessed.